Hello and welcome to Jighm Games, where, hey, I haven't been around for a while. I want to get back into doing some games online here, and we are going to do mostly solo games from here on out. And I'm going to be starting with Awkward Guests. This is one that doesn't have a whole lot of love on the internet, so I want to try to put it on there. And I see that my shadow gets in there when I lean forward. But hopefully in playing this game you can start to learn, if you don't already know, okay, how to play the game, but also how to piece the information together. We're going to do a random case. Now I have one on every difficulty, and I'm going to go all the way up on perfect crime. And you'll see how this solo version works. So we have to try to come up with who the murderer is, what their motive was, and what weapon they used, and whether or not they used an accomplice. And if they did, who was the accomplice, and what was the accomplice's motive. Okay. And we always get to start with these cards, and hopefully they come out pretty clear on there. But let me start getting those cards out. Alright, card number 30. And that's going to be one that I get to remove a sleeve from. Okay, that's good. As I decided to unsleeve these. Alright. And this says supporting evidence regarding Greg Gaffney's motive of fixed fights was discovered. So we go to Greg Gaffney, fixed fights, and it was supporting evidence that was found just on the scene. Okay. So we check mark that box. Now the true motive will have all three of them checked off. Alright, let's go with 73 and 76. For some more cards. Okay. Either Angelica or Stanley might have passed through the trophy room. So trophy room here, either Angelica or Stanley might have passed through that room. Okay. And then according to service staff, and they don't lie, they say that nobody went from the bedroom to the garage or vice versa. So we can put an X on that path. These paths are important because the killer traces a path from their starting room down here to the study and picks up a weapon from one of those rooms along the way. Alright, looks like 137 will be the next one. Okay. The wrench was not the murder weapon. We can eliminate the wrench. Now the wrench is in the garage right there. That is also a blunt weapon, so we can cross it off down there. Okay. Alright, 163 and 184 are the last of the clues that we're going to get to start the game off with. After examining the body, the coroner did not find any oily substance. Another one of them that doesn't lie. The oily substance is this one right here, that symbol. So we can eliminate every weapon with that symbol. So the frying pan in the kitchen, the poisonous plant in the bedroom, and the antifreeze in the garage. And I do have somebody in the house asleep, so if you're wondering why I'm in a hushed tone, that would be why. Alright, Greg claims that he was with the Berwick sisters at the time of the murder. So, Greg, we draw a line from him to the Berwick sisters and put the arrow right there, because they haven't claimed to be with him yet. Okay. Now we hit next. And now we have to ask about two things. We can ask about rooms, we can ask about people. So, given what we have right now, which is not a whole lot, we've got one piece of information about Greg here as far as his involvement, a motive. We know that Angelica or Stanley could have gone through this trophy room, and there are paths on this board. The crime happened up here in the study. So, if you want information about the weapon, you ask about the study. I'm also going to ask about the billiard room next. Alright, we have 75 points. You might not be able to see that up here. Oh no. I hit something there on how to play. Here we go. Yep. 75 points to spend. And cards have points on them ranging from 1 to 3. I basically want to eliminate some paths right now, and those are on 1 point cards. And I can get 3 cards for 7 points there. That's going to give me the most cards. I'm going to go with 2 cards worth 3 points. So, card number 2. All right. Ooh. The housekeeper, who also doesn't lie, says that there was one person in the billiard room at the time of the murder. And then card 107. Okay, the path going between the study and the bedroom was not used. Now that's a one-way path, because once you're in the study, you don't backtrack to another room. So right now, the only 2 ways into the crime scene are from the garage or the shed. So that does shed some light on it. Alright, what do we want to ask about next? We got no weapon information that time, but path information I really did want. So, let's go with study again, and let's go with vestibule this time. Ask about the vestibule. And we are going to do 2 cards worth 4 points. 148. So the coroner discovered it was not an attack from behind. So that is this symbol here with the body. So it wasn't the blunderbuss that is in the living room. It wasn't the machete from the trophy room. It wasn't the letter opener from the bedroom. And it wasn't the leather strap from the garage. So, the garage did not furnish the weapon to the killer. It doesn't mean that the killer didn't go through the garage. Okay, card 236. Okay, Claudette claims that she was in the vestibule at the time of the murder. So we'll put a C there and see if that checks out later on. Okay. What else to ask about? Looks like you can see all of this. Okay. I am going to, since there's a good chance that the killer went around this area, I'm going to ask about kitchen and shed. There we go. Let's go next. And 3 cards worth 3 points. Alright, card 35. And it is possible to get duplicate cards that you've already seen before. It's been a while since I've done that though. Alright, 35, 65, and 162. There we go. Okay. The path between the living room and the kitchen was not used, and that goes for either direction. The rat poison was not the murder weapon. That's in the kitchen, and that is a poison. And the kitchen to bedroom was not done. So the bedroom was definitely not an issue in this crime. It was not walked through, and the weapon did not come from the bedroom. So pillow and revolver are out. So let's do revolver and pillow. Just mark those out. And just so this will be easier to clean at the end of the game, I'm going to go ahead and mark this stuff off. Keep those X's there. Alright. So we still have these 2 paths going. I still want to know more about the shed. Now, nobody went this way in or out of the kitchen, nor this way. Someone could have gone from the library to the shed and then backtracked over here to the kitchen to pick up the knife and then back around. They could be tricky, especially I think on the perfect crime. It might make it more like that. So I can't rule out kitchen yet until we cross off that path. Alright, let's go ahead and focus on some people again. And let's go with Claudette. And let's ask about Angelica. And let's get 3 cards worth 4 points. So card 15 and 18. I get cards 15 and 18. 15, 18. And then we get 224. There we are. Okay, in the kitchen, neither Claudette nor Mortimer passed through the kitchen. Alright. Claudette's motive of social undermining, actually no, Berwick sisters' social undermining, Claudette has told us information about that. So we can check that mark next to the C for Claudette. Social undermining for Berwicks. And then the Berwick sisters claim that they were with Angelica at the time of the murder. So Berwick says, hey, I was with Angelica. Okay. Now, we're still way up in the air on this. We're limiting the weapons over here on this side. I would like to find out who is in the billiard room. Let's ask about Stanley and Angelica, because they both may have gone through the trophy. Well, one of them, but not both. Well, only the killer moves through rooms. Okay. We're going to do the 3 cards worth 4 points. So 75 and 85. And 213. Okay, neither Greg nor Angelica went through the bedroom. Don't care, bedroom's out of it. Angelica claims to be with the Berwick sisters at the time. Okay, this is big. Both of them have claimed to be with each other at the time of the murder. So that means either neither one was the murderer, or one was the murderer and the other's covering up for her as an accomplice. And Angelica claims to have been in the library, which means that the Berwick sisters also were in the library. Now, even if one of them's the killer, since they weren't in the library at the time of the murder, it marks their starting spot. Now, if it was Angelica, she still could have gone this way through and around. Okay? Can't rule any of that out. As long as paths are open, they could be taken. Now, I'm going to lay off of them for just a moment. I'm going to look tighter at the shed. And I think I want to do study again, find out something about the murder weapon. I have 57 points left. I'm going to do a big one this time. 3 cards worth 8 points. Alright, so 34 and 54. And 178. Okay. This has nothing to do with the game. I was using these to mark my borders. So there we go. Alright, that social undermining that we talked about earlier. Now there has been some supporting evidence found for that. If we have all 3 of them checked off, and they're the killers, that is the reason. But they can be all checked off and not be the reason. Alright, a bladed weapon was not used. So those are the bladed weapons. Let's mark off the kitchen knife from the kitchen, and the saber from the vestibule. Okay. So, no longer any reason to have gone through the kitchen. The coroner found no traces of dirt. So that will get rid of 4 of these. The shovel from the shed. The machete. Poisonous plant. The rope from the shed. Okay. 1, 2, 3. We're actually down to only 5 weapons left. So, it all depends on the path that was taken. Going this way, we have the curtain cord and we have the pesticide. Going this way, we have the Q, shotgun, Derringer gun. So those are the 5 possibilities. I want to get some more of these paths marked off. So let's ask about the shed again. And let's ask about the garage. I'm going to try to take 1-point clues. 3 cards worth 3 points total. 131. Oh, I didn't pick up the whole stack. All right, 131, 147, and then 189. Okay. Either Stanley or Greg might have passed through the garage. Stanley or Greg. We have a good path for Stanley going on. Alright. Kitchen, the shed, we've already pretty much figured out was not used, so that was a dud clue. Berwick or Claudette may have passed through the garage. Berwick sisters or Claudette. So that's a lot of clues for the garage. Drop the card on the floor, but I can't get down there and pick it up. Okay. Well, right now, I want to think that these two conspired. Let's get some information on the library. See if we can get a housekeeper to tell us how many people were in that room. And then I want to ask about the shed again. Next, let's do 3 cards worth 4 points. So 63 and 81. I really love the system of this game, and it's a lot different when you're playing with multiple players. 219. Okay. It's really fun with multiple players as well. But we're doing solo. The Berwick sisters claim to have been in the library at the time of the murder. We already have them there. Oh, okay. We have eliminated that path. That's huge because that also eliminates the pesticide. And there were 3 people in the library at the time of the murder. Now the Berwick sisters count as 2 people. So that's 3 right there. Now, even though they count as 3, they act together with the crime. So, right now it looks like that neither one were involved. And I'm going to do a little something here because we could find someone else saying that they started in here. I'm going to do this here and put the arrows between them. Go ahead and get rid of this arrow up here. Make it easier at the end of the game. Okay, yeah, we had Greg claiming to be with the Berwick sisters earlier. So let's put Greg here, and he claimed to be there. Okay, now we know that one of these is the killer. And if there were 3 people in here at the time of the murder, that means the killer is either Angelica or Greg. Okay. The Berwick sisters could be the accomplice for Angelica. I want to ask about Angelica and Greg now. Not only to see if they claim to have been in each other's rooms, but also to try to narrow down what their motives could be. Three cards were 7 points, kind of going big again. 187, 204, 237. Okay. Oh, the motive was not one that was passion. So any of these with the heart up here, we can mark off. There'll be 3 of them. They also weren't financial in nature. And Greg says that he was in the library at the time of the murder, and that's where we have him. Okay. Only the killer lies, and his accomplice, or her accomplice, or their accomplice, if it's the sisters. There is a awkward guess 2 where the Berwick sisters die, and it's a 2-player exactly game. I do wish to pick that up at some point. Okay. So now we're still not getting anywhere special. I do know that the Berwick sisters didn't do it. I'm going to go ahead and cross them off here as a suspect, because they had to be left in here in this room. So G or A. And they have to have gone through this way. And there are 3 different weapons that they could have used. We know A went through this room, or may have gone through this room. We know that G may have gone through this one. And since BB did not go through that room because she stayed where she was, those are the ones left up there. Now, let's go with Angelica and Greg again and see if we can get anything better. How about 2 cards worth 4 points? 181 and 239. Okay, Greg claims that he was with Angelica at the time of the murder. So there we go. And the murder was not a payback murder, or the motive was not payback. So that gets rid of that one, that one, that one. If we have all 3 X's for a person marked off, we know they're innocent, both as a criminal and as an accomplice. So, right now, Angelica has backup from both people. The Berwicks have backup from both people, but neither person has claimed to be with Greg. I think Greg may have done it and not even had an accomplice. I'm leaning towards Greg, and it would probably be fixed fights. So let's keep Greg, and let's do trophy room. See if we can eliminate a weapon. 3 cards were 3 points. 48. $165, $186. Okay. Take the sleeve off of that one. Okay. Okay, for Greg up here, animal cruelty was not the motive. Mortimer told on Greg, though, fixed fights. Look at that. And, oh, the Berwick sisters claim that they were with Greg at the time of the murder. So now we have the accomplices. Angelica has not claimed to be with Greg. One of these two did it. So it was Greg, but since the Berwick sisters claim that they were with Greg at the time of the murder, they have to be accomplices. So I'm at this point now of accusing Greg, with the Berwick sisters being the accomplices. Probably social undermining for the Berwick sisters' motivation. Greg's would be fixed fights. We don't know the weapon yet. I have 28 points to figure this out. So I want to keep trophy room in there. And let's go study. And let's go next. And let's get to 3 cards worth 9. 98. Okay. 135 and 177. Okay, it was not a suffocating weapon, which means the curtain cord in the library was not the murder weapon. So they didn't take that with them. I guess we had 4 choices. Now we are down to 3. There were no cyanosis or bruises. That does not eliminate any of our remaining weapons. It was not a poison. That doesn't eliminate any of our remaining weapons. Ugh. That was a lot of points to get nothing out of. Okay, I'm going to stick with those rooms and go next. And let's do another 3 worth 9 points. Hope not to get any duplicate cards. 24, 83, 228. All right, it was not a firearm. Okay, that eliminates shotgun and derringer gun from the trophy room. That leaves us with the Q. So I believe I can solve it now, but let's look at the rest of the clues. No strong odors, so that won't eliminate any weapons, and no heavy bleeding. Yeah, we only have the one weapon left, so there we go. I'm gonna solve the case with 10 points remaining. I'm gonna say it was Greg, and that his motive was fixed fights, and that he used the Q. And he had an accomplice, the Beatrice twins, or the Berwick sisters, and their motive was social undermining. Okay, let's check. So we can go back and we can now see the solution. So from the library into the living room, the vestibule, billiard room, trophy room, garage, and study. That long path. So I hope that helped you to learn how to solve a case in Awkward Guess, the Walton case. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Give me some love down there if so, with likes and subscribes. And I'll be with you again. Among the games I want to do solo on here would be a lot of Final Girl, some more of this game here, Under Fallen Skies, and the Welcome to the Moon. So those would be 4 of the main ones probably. So hope to see you some more. You have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.